Hello everyone, my name is Jose Lopez and I am currently here in Ocean City, Maryland, where I'm attending a human trafficking investigators conference where all the police departments from around the state of Maryland come together to learn more techniques on how to fight sex trafficking in our state. And you have also other departments here as well, like in Pennsylvania and all surrounding states. Modern day slavery can be implemented in what we call today sex trafficking. I mean, you have predators, offenders that take their victims and submit them to the sex trade. And this not only happens in third world countries, this is actually happening here in the United States of America. And the problem with this is it's hard to detect unless we as law enforcement and other civilian, social services, advise and make aware to our community, create awareness to our community of what's going on. So with that said, I'm going to tell you a little bit of story about a young juvenile that I recovered at the end of 2014, and it's a kind of like a sad story. It is a sad story, and to be honest with you, it really touched my heart, and I'm glad that I was able to recover her. There was one day that there was a call for service, police call for service, of a young juvenile being submitted to prostitution. Now, these calls I do take very seriously, and I do go out at any given time to investigate them. Once I got on scene, I identified a juvenile that was 14 years old. She was very scared. She was crying, nervous, and didn't really know what to do at that time, and wouldn't even talk to me. That's how scared she was at that time. The sex offender or the predator was there on scene. This was a single family home, and the female, the offender, was using the house as a prostitution brothel. Now, the offender was a prostitute herself, but she had gained access to this juvenile through an acquaintance, through a friend of hers. Now, the juvenile is an accompanied juvenile that came from Guatemala. She was very vulnerable, didn't know anybody over here in the United States, and that's why this predator offender, took charge of her and just submitted her to the sex trade. I later interviewed the juvenile. She said that at one point in a period of 15 days, she had served 60 men, sexually served 60 men. Now, when I'm interviewing this juvenile, that really touched my heart, and I kind of had to stop for a second and kind of readjust, because it just gets to me. I have 3 daughters of my own. One is 13, about to be 14 this year. This juvenile was 14, so I kind of saw her under my eyes like one of my own. Eventually, I did make an arrest on the offender who was there that day. I was able to obtain great evidence, cell phone forensics. We were able to place the juvenile in a safe shelter. We got her all the medical assistance that she needed, and to this day she's doing great. Now, the offender ended up being charged on the federal level, and she pled recently, and back in January, pled guilty to 10 years in federal prison. So that's good. That's a win-win for us. It is just an example of the investigations and the cases I do work with. On an ongoing basis, I do investigate leads. I go out to schools. There's a lot of shelters that call me, so I can follow up with juveniles, missing juveniles, anything like that. Anywhere where I can recover a juvenile and save a life from this horrible trade, sex trade that's going on here in the United States and around the world. And to conclude my story, right now we're going to churches and just to make the citizens and the community aware of what's going on. Just like I'm talking to you guys today, I go to churches and I talk to community members, and I give them just the basics of how to be aware, how to identify victims. You know, and if you don't know too much about human trafficking, you know, go online. The Homeland Security Investigations has a great campaign. It's called the Blue Campaign, and they can, you know, there you can find out how you can be aware, how you can, you know, educate yourself on human trafficking, sex trafficking, and how to report it to law enforcement authorities. With that said, thank you so much for your attention. Here signing out from Ocean City, Maryland. Have a good one, and see you guys next week. Bye.